The Living Library of Willow Creek. In the quiet, fog-drenched town of Willow Creek, the public library was more than just a building. It was the town's silent heartbeat. Eleanor, a woman whose life had been dedicated to the preservation of stories, had served as the chief librarian for over 40 years. Her routine was precise. Every morning, she would brew a cup of Earl Grey tea, unlock the heavy oak doors, and breathe in the scent of aged paper and floor wax. The library was a labyrinth of history, but the travel section was Eleanor's favorite. It was a secluded corner where the sunlight rarely touched the shelves. One Tuesday, while she was methodically organizing the dusty volumes, she pulled out a worn, blue leather-bound book. As she opened it, something small and brittle fell onto the carpet. It was a handwritten letter, the ink fading to a soft brown. May 12th, 1985, it read. The oak tree in the park is blooming, but it feels lonely without you. Meet me at the bench behind the library at sunset. It was signed simply, T. Eleanor felt an unusual surge of emotion. She didn't return the book to the shelf. Instead, she flipped through the pages. To her astonishment, she found another letter tucked into the middle, and then another. They were not just random notes. They were a chronological conversation between two people, Thomas and Sarah. For months in 1985, they had used this single book as their secret post office. As she read, the town of Willow Creek in 1985 came to life. They wrote about their secret dreams of leaving the small town, their fears of their parents' expectations, and the simple beauty of their evening walks. The library became Eleanor's secret world. She started her shifts an hour early just to read the next chapter of their unspoken lives. One stormy afternoon, the bell above the door chimed, cutting through the silence. An elderly man stepped inside, shaking water from his umbrella. He moved slowly, his eyes scanning the shelves with a mixture of hope and deep sadness. He walked directly toward the travel section, his hand trembling as he reached for the blue leather book. Eleanor watched from behind her desk, her heart racing. When the man opened the book and realized the letters were still there, he didn't just smile. He collapsed into the nearest wooden chair, clutching the book to his chest. Eleanor walked over slowly. "You are Thomas, aren't you?" The man looked up, his eyes glassy. "I haven't been here in 40 years, he whispered. "Sarah. She passed away last winter. Before she died, she told me that our most precious memories weren't in our house, but in the pages of this book. I wasn't sure if it would still be here." He explained that they had been young, poor, and forbidden by their families to see each other. The library had been their only sanctuary. They had left this book behind as a promise, but life had pulled them away, and they had eventually forgotten which book they had used. Thomas had spent his final years traveling, but he had never found a place that felt as real as those few months in 1985. Eleanor didn't know what to say. She felt like an intruder in a sacred space. But Thomas reached out and placed his hand on the cover. "Thank you," he said, "for keeping our story safe." That day, everything changed for Eleanor. She realized that libraries weren't just about the books authors wrote, they were about the stories people left behind. She decided to transform the library. She created a community journal section where people could leave anonymous notes, sketches, and letters in the books they read. Soon, the library became famous. It wasn't because of its rare collections, but because of the personal, human connections hidden within its pages. People from all over the country came to Willow Creek, not just to read, but to leave a piece of themselves for a stranger to find. Eleanor eventually retired, but her legacy remained. The library stood as a testament to the fact that while technology changes and time moves forward, the human need to be understood, to leave a trace, a sign, or a whisper remains the same. Thomas never married again. Instead, he spent his remaining summers sitting on the bench behind the library, reading the letters and watching the oak tree bloom, knowing that somewhere, in the pages of a dusty book, he and Sarah were still 18, still in love, and still waiting for sunset.